The Steyr pistols in general have a firing pin safety or a drop safety that is pretty unique, and it's designed in an interesting way that secures the firing pin no matter what, to basically not going forward unless the trigger is pulled, even though it's under full tension. And I want to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a rundown on how the system works and sort of the parts inside the slide that may confuse some people, but it actually is part of this system. So I'm going to go ahead and break down the slide and give you guys a little bit of a tour on what's going on inside the pistol. Okay, first thing I want you guys to notice is that the area right here is angled, as well as the striker itself. The face here is angled, and when this thing is fully pulled back, it is being held on by this angled, I guess, sear or whatever you want to call it, and we're going to discuss how it's held into place. So I think this is angled in my own evaluation to kind of give you a little bit of a smoother trigger pull and assist in the drop safety or firing pin safety, if you will. Okay, so I have the back plate of the slide taken off, so we're going to go through the components here. You have a steel guide rod and spring to push the striker forward, and everything here is steel, so it's not polymer and it isn't weak. And then you have the striker here with its angled face, and then you have the firing pin. And inside the slide you have this little roller right here. Now if you look at this roller, it just barely sticks out. What's happening is that the sear is pushing the striker up with the spring, and there is no firing pin spring that pushes it back. It is pretty much free to run, and the spring here in the little guide rod, it only goes about this far, so it's not really pushing on it full length. It's going off of a little bit of inertia, so it basically has freedom to bounce back and run freely. So that's a little bit of an interesting design there. But the striker, when it's all curled up, is being pushed upward right on this, the back plate of the striker guide rod, if you will, is back about this far. And as you can see here, there's just enough relief for the back of the firing pin or striker guide rod to be out of the way for the roller. And when this is fully compressed, the very back end of the striker leaves a little mark. You can probably barely see it, but there's just a little mark right here where the roller is pushing down and it has friction. And that is because there's intense pressure going upwards, and so it pushes on the roller, and you can see there's a little bit of resistance. If you play with this, there's a little bit of resistance that keeps it tight to the striker sear, or whatever you want to call this. So it keeps it on there pretty aggressively. And I think also the 45-degree angle, when it's got rearward pressure, it's angled to push it up, because the striker is trying to overcome it. So if it's angled, it's going to try to go up and over this piece. So it effectively pushes itself up. So I think that's one of the design areas, and this wasn't exactly here on the older models, and some people still have them and they have no issues with them. And one of the things that I'm finding is that pistols like this that were designed by the guy who designed it, Bubitz is his last name, he did a lot of corrections to these pistols to make sure that everybody was satisfied with the design and it was as safe as possible. So he did good upgrades, and also the Caracal pistol, which was his recent design, it's had some upgrades too, just to prevent any possible issues. Not that they really had many, if any, issues, but basically that's what is happening here for the firing pin safety. So it is all internal to the slide, but it's basically mostly the slide's job to act as a firing pin safety. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it, and I hope this was educational for you so you can understand the system a little better. I think it does help the trigger pull a little bit, and it's a more simple way, and it prevents needing more pins and parts. So basically you just have a roller and a pin holding the firing pin in place, or the strike, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I don't think they had to change the design that much to kind of give it an inherent firing pin safety quality to it. So if you like this video, please subscribe, and also visit my Facebook page and my blog. Blog is doitright.org, linked in the description below.